Prophet Yerushalmi. So basically, we stopped last week with the halacha chet. On s'arrêtait à la halacha chet. We were talking about the fact of being very careful about the milk of the non-Jew, and also we start the concept of bread and oil. Donc on a commencé d'abord avec l'idée de faire très attention avec le lait des non-juifs, et puis on a continué aussi avec le pain et même l'huile. So we're gonna move forward and see what we can get from this topic of bread, and so on. Abhishek, can you please help me to read? C'est là où j'ai mis le signe. Ouais, on va commencer. Let me share the screen. Ouais, attends. Juste que je me mette la photo devant. A second. We start straight and we will be able to. Bon, ça commence. Oui. Let's start. We take information, on prend l'information. Après, on va creuser. And we go deeper to see what's happened in this Talmud Avoda Zarah Alachachet in the Yerushalmi. Yes.
In its list of idolaters' forbidden foods, the Mishnah included the bread. The Gemara comments, Rabbi Yaakov bar Acha said in the name of Rabbi Jonathan, the bread of idolaters is one of the halachot of obscurity found in the Talmud.
So, donc il parle d'un concept qu'on appelle, c'est un concept très étrange, qu'on appelle les halachot d'obscurité. Il dit tout le rapport qu'on a avec le pain des non-juifs, all the story, all the connection around the bread of non-Jew are connected to a concept called halachot of obscurity. What is that? C'est des concepts qu'on appelle les halachot de l'obscurité. But what is the expression is halachot shel imum, sorry. So what is that? The laws, the laws.
Shalom, Rabbi.
Shalom. Laws of obscurity. What are them? C'est les lois obscures. What are them? It's halachot imum. Give this concept. C'est quoi les halachot imum? It's laws which are obscure. Is there many things inside? Yes. C'est quoi les lois obscures? C'est quoi les lois obscures? C'est quoi les halachot imumim? C'est les lois obscures. Est-ce qu'il y a beaucoup de choses dedans? Oui. Among them, which laws? The fact that the bread, the way we will behave with the bread of non-Jew, la manière dont on va se comporter avec le pain des non-juifs. Let's see, on va regarder.
Clarification of this statement is south. I asked about this before Rabbi Yaakov ben Acha. What is the intent of Rabbi Jonathan's statement that you quoted, namely that this is one of the halachot of obscurity found in the Talmud? Do I say as follows, in a place where the bread of Jewish is available, the bread of idolaters should be prohibited. But the rabbis were obscure about and permitted it, or Do I say as follows? In a place where the bread of Jewish is not available, the bread of idolaters should by right be permitted. But we're obscure about it and prohibited it.
So you see, the question is very serious. La question est très sérieuse. C'est très sérieux. Il pose, il dit, Shalom, shalom, Rabbanit Elisheva.
Shalom, shalom, Rabbi.
So the question is like this. First of all, we want to understand the term. D'abord, on veut comprendre le terme. What does it mean that the laws are obscure? C'est-à-dire quoi que les lois sont obscures? Does it mean that the bread of non-Jew were forbidden for us, but because the sages don't know how to behave when we don't have any Jewish bread, it means that they were obscured by their analysis? That's why we call that laws of obscurity. Or does it mean that in the place where the bread of idolaters should be permitted, the rabbis were obscure about it and they prohibited it? Ou bien ça veut dire qu'il y avait un endroit où le pain des non-juifs était permis et les rabbins, ils n'ont pas bien compris, ils ont interdit. So it's a whole question we have to know. C'est toute une question qu'on doit savoir. Est-ce que ça veut dire quoi, loi obscure? What does it mean that the laws of bread of non-Jew, it's obscure? It's called in Hebrew, halachot imum. Yes.
The Gemara objects. Rabbi Mana said, but is the term obscurity ever used to refer to a prohibition? Furthermore, it is not the prohibition of the bread of idolaters.
On the bread.
Furthermore, it is not the prohibition on the bread of idolaters the same as the prohibition of the cooked food of idolaters? It certainly is. Accordingly, we should say that there as well, namely that in a place where cooked food of Jewish are not available, the cooked food of idolaters should by rights be permitted. But the rabbis were obscure about them and prohibited them. This is untenable, as evidenced by the fact that whereas Rabbi Yonatan classified the bread of idolaters among the halachot of obscurity, he did not classify the cooked food of idolaters among the halachot of obscurity.
Donc il dit maintenant, Rabbi Mana, il ouvre un autre topic, un autre sujet. Il dit, qu'est-ce qui se passe? Il fait, comment on peut définir ces lois d'obscurité, cette catégorie de lois? Il fait, est-ce qu'on ne peut pas considérer que la nourriture des non-juifs, est aussi dans ce cas-là, nourriture cuisinée par des non-juifs? Il fait, est-ce que ça veut dire qu'à un moment où la nourriture des juifs n'est pas disponible, on devrait permettre la nourriture des non-juifs, mais en fait, on se retrouve à l'interdire? Donc, il dit, c'est sûrement pour ça que la notion de loi obscure est utilisée. C'est une question qui pose. Pour le moment, on ne comprend pas très bien ce qui se passe. At the moment, we don't understand really what's happening. But let's take more information and see what will be said. Okay.
In view of these difficulties, Rabbi Mana suggests as different explanation of Rabbi Yonatan's statement, namely that the bread of idolaters is a halacha of obscurity.
So we still want to understand that. On veut toujours comprendre pourquoi la halacha du pain des non-juifs, c'est obscur. Yes.
Rather, this is what Rabbi Yonatan meant. Even in the place where the bread of Jewish is not available, the bread of idolaters should by right be prohibited, just as cooked food are prohibited even where cooked foods of Jewish are not available. But the rabbis were obscure about it and permitted it because bread is necessary for the sustenance of life.
Ah, now the problem starts. Now le problème commence. The Gemara said that Rabbi Yonatan, la Gemara dit que Rabbi Yonatan intention was to say like this. Son intention était de dire comme ça. Even if the bread of the Jew is not available, même si le pain du juif n'est pas disponible, even if the food of the Jewish is not available, même si the kosher food, même si la nourriture cachère n'est pas disponible, we should forbid, no matter what's happened, the bread of non-Jew and the food of non-Jew. On doit interdire le pain des non-juifs et le manger des non-juifs. But the rabbis, they were obscured by this situation. Mais les rabbins étaient embrouillés. They were mixed up. They said, no, bread is necessary for life. Ils disent, non, la nourriture est essentielle pour la vie. Ce qui a fait quoi? This brought them to remove the prohibition. Ça les a amenés à enlever l'interdiction. Alors que l'avis de Rabbi Yonatan, c'est de dire, même s'il n'y a pas de pain juif, on ne permet pas le pain du non-juif. Even though it was the position of Rabbi Yonatan, there's no bread from Jew, we don't eat the bread of non-Jew. You see how the problem is serious? Comment le problème est sérieux?
Yes, I had that challenge when I used to go to my father in Angola.
Yeah.
I would take crackers.
Yeah.
And then somebody said to me, no, you take a bread. I said, no, I saw in Halacha, says I cannot. And when I came to the land of Israel, one rabbi taught in his class and said, no, you can have bread because it's not made for you, but it's made for commercial purpose. I said, in my heart, I said, okay, I understand. But in my heart, I know I saw that halakha. I saw that halakha.
So, what do you say now? If someone asks you, what will be your answer?
For me, because if it is not, I mean, there are a number of aspects here. One is it's a Birkat Hamazon. If I'm not mistaken, Rabbi, correct me.
Mm-hmm.
It says any food that satisfy you, like bread, is considered as a meal.
Mm-hmm.
So then you can also recite Birkat Hamazon. So now I wanted to go to the question of bread. If there is a leeway to recite Birkat Hamazon on a food
Mm-hmm.
that satisfy me, and I'm forbidden to eat the bread, I mean the food of the non-Jew, how much more to the bread?
Mm-hmm.
So then, well, it's my opinion. I still stand it to be corrected. So the bread is also forbidden me.
Mm-hmm. We didn't say yet. On n'a pas encore vu the case of the food.
Yes.
It's just spelling the bread.
Okay.
So we'll see what the mixed up rabbis will say. On va voir ce que les rabbins qui t'ont envoyé vont dire. But see what's happened. He said, this is the Gemara. C'est la Gemara. You cannot buy bread from non-Jew, even if you miss bread from a kosher Jew store.
Pas grave, il dit justement, juste par rapport à la vie de Rabbi Yonatan, just as the cooked food.
Yeah.
Même
Even the cooked food, comme la nourriture cuisinée. But now what's happened? People give the permissions. Maintenant, qu'est-ce qui se passe? Les gens, ils perdent la permission. Now bread is a must. Go and buy to the non-Jew store. But you are not allowed to do it during the 10 days between Kippur and Rosh Hashanah. You know?
I also heard in Strasbourg say if there is a baker, a Jewish baker, bakery, and a non-Jewish, but the non-Jewish baker is better in the test.
You can go for the test.
Can go, yeah, yes. I heard it and they do it. How about?
They used to call me Mr. Perfection in the meeting. In a Jewish community. Mr. Perfection is here, don't try.
On va continuer. Donc, il dit, on ne mange pas. But let's go. More, further, more. Yeah.
In essence, Rabbi Yonatan teaches that the prohibition against idolaters' bread applies only where Jewish bread is available. But in a place where one cannot obtain Jewish bread, one may eat the bread of idolaters.
So who said that? The Gemara says something, you say in essence. La Gemara dit quelque chose, et toi tu dis en essence. Let's read it again. Look what it said. Je relis. Say, rather this is what Rabbi Yonatan meant. So the Gemara said, this is what he means. Voici ce qu'il dit. Say, even in a place where the bread of Jew is not available, the bread of idolater should be by right be prohibited. That's it. Like the food. And someone come in and had notes. You see, it's not in bold. C'est pas en gras. In essence, Rabbi Yonatan teaches that. No, what is teaching? You teach stuff from your sayings. C'est quoi une enseigne? Ton enseignement passe par ce que tu dis. Right? So what is 11?
Since the bread is a staple of the human diet, the rabbis permitted the bread of idolaters in locations where bread of Jewish is unavailable.
This is the time Steve will discover that you have people being allergic to gluten. Now people, they don't eat bread. You're saying like that. But Rabbi Yonatan is telling you something. You take space to say, no. 2,000 years later, maybe, what do we see? Non-Jew telling you bread is not good for the health. Don't eat gluten. They start to do bread with, I don't know what the name in English, cosmine flour. Spells. Rabbi Yonatan, il te dit, ne mangez pas du pain de non-juif. Jusqu'à ce que le non-juif lui-même, 2000 ans après, te dit, non, il y a du gluten, il y a des allergies. You have people dying because of that allergy. They have problems, they're coughing, they are weak, ils toussent, ils sont faibles. So, okay, what's happened after Luke?
Cooked foods, on the other hand, are not as essential to the sustenance of life. Hence, although the rabbis were univocal with respect to the prohibition on cooked foods of idolaters, they deliberately obscured the prohibition against bread of idolaters with respect to places where bread of Jewish is unavailable.
Donc, vous voyez le problème, c'est le problème de Gemara, Rabbi Yonatan, il te dit, tells you, là où le pain du juif n'est pas disponible, il est interdit d'acheter du pain du juif. Et des rabbins viennent, and some rabbis come say, no, bread is essential for life. Which bread? Quel bread? Quel pain? A bread when no one took the challah, un pain que personne n'a pris la challah, a bread which was cooked in the eyes of a non-Jew, un pain qui a été cuit par la présence d'un non-juif. This bread is a poison for a Jewish soul. How can you talk about bread being essential when what you eat is just poison? Comment tu peux parler que le pain est essentiel quand ce qui est le pain en lui-même est une poison pour l'âme juive? De la manière dont il a été conçu, sans prélèvement à l'arique, et de la manière dont il est cuit. Bishul goy. Because at the end of the day, the bread needs to be cooked. So the bread is also a food. What do I know? How do I know it? Comment je sais ça? Sometime in Africa, des fois en Afrique, you meal eat one bottle of Fanta and bread and you eat. It's your meal. Yeah. Des fois, c'est ça notre repas. On prend une bouteille de Fanta et de Coca, on a du pain. For people who look Callistus, many times you see him with leaf of bread and drinking water. It's a meal. So the bread is a cooked food. Donc le pain, c'est une nourriture cuisinée. So what are you saying? Vous jouez à quoi? Look, Ken, continue dans la Gemara.
The Gemara cites a ruling regarding this matter. The rabbis of Caesarea ruled in the name of Rabbi Yaakov bar Acha that the halacha accords with the one who permits the bread of idolaters in places where the bread of Jew is available. But this is allowed only if the bread is from a commercial baker.
Ok, let's see what does it mean. Ok. Donc il dit, il y a cette loi-là, en fait, cette loi-là, elle fonctionne que à partir du moment où on sait que le pain du non-juif, ça vient d'un boulanger professionnel. Ok.
The bread baked, bread baked by an idolater for personal use is prohibited in all locations, even where the bread of Jews is unavailable.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
In Rabbi Yirmiya's days, the barrel.
C'est quelle page là t'es? The Gemara comments.
The Gemara comments. However, they, the general public do not follow this ruling in practice. Rather, they eat even bread baked by an idolater for personal use, provided that no other bread is available.
So he's pushing it further. Il pousse ça plus. Il dit, dans Pnei Moshe, it's telling you that the general public, what does it mean, general public? Pnei Moshe, I'm reading, je dis ici, I've explained the clauses, however, but they do not follow the ruling in practice, as referring to the rabbis of Caesarea. That is, while the rule of the other that the bakery bread of an idolater is permitted, they themselves did not rely on this leniency, and they refrained from eating it even when the Jews' bread was unavailable, the letter of the law. So basically, qu'est-ce qu'il dit ici? Il dit comme ça. Il y a certaines personnes qui disaient que non, même s'il manque du pain juif, même le pain privé peut être consommé. But some people will say, you know what? Because Caesarea is like the place where you have Jewish, Romans, you know, it's like the place where we live together. Il dit, oh, tu sais quoi? Non, à partir du moment, from the moment when even the private bread, you could eat.
Let us not offend the Romans.
Yes. So that's it. The Gemara presents.
The Gemara presents a scriptural basis for the ban of idolaters' cooked food. They said in the presence of Rabbi Chia the Great, Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai taught in the Braita as follows: the Torah states, you should buy food from them, the people of Seir, with money, so that you may eat. Also, water shall you buy from them, etc. By mentioning food and water together, the Torah teaches that the only food the Jewish people were permitted to buy and eat had to be similar to the water that they would buy and drink. Just as the water they would buy and drink was not changed from the form of which it was created. So,
Rabbi Shimon is too powerful. Rabbi Shimon est trop puissant. Rabbi Shimon say like this. In the Torah, dans la Torah, c'est écrit comme ça. Quand les Bnei Israël sont dans le désert, ils vont passer par le territoire de Seir. When the child of Israel were in the desert, they will have to pass through the land of Seir. So you have to buy from them food and water. Tu dois acheter pour eux de la nourriture et de l'eau. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, in 10 days we have the Hilula. He said, why we have food and water? On a la nourriture et l'eau. Meaning that you should only buy from them things which are like water. Tu dois acheter chez eux seulement les choses qui ressemblent à de l'eau. Ça veut dire quoi? Des choses dont la forme naturelle n'est pas modifiée. Think that the original form are not modified. No cooking, nothing. Comme ça a été créé, tu l'achètes de lui. Like it has been created by Hashem, you buy it at its original form.
So too, anything else they would buy and eat had to be that which was not changed from the form in which it was created.
Everything you buy from non-Jew should be bought from in its original form. Tout ce que tu achètes de non-juif doit être acheté dans sa forme originelle qui n'a pas été modifiée. Yes.
Evidently, food that was cooked by the people of Seir and thus changed form from its natural form was prohibited. This proves that the cooked foods of idolaters may not be eaten.
So, Kalvachomer the bread. Kalvachomer le pain. The Gemara is telling you, you bring something else. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. C'est clair. Donc, si jamais il y a ça, le pain en fait partie. For us, when Rabbi Shimon speaks, we're done. But let's see what's the Gemara.
An objection is raised. Rabbi Chia the Great objected, but another Braita thought and cooked mutlaya and cooked copperberry husks and cooked leeks and parched kernels of grain and hot water of idolaters. These are permitted. Now, it is understandable why all those cooked items listed in the Braita are excluded from the ban of idolaters' cooked food, for they can be soaked in water and returned to their original state, and are thus not considered to have been changed from the state in which they were created. But why does the Braita permit parched kernels, which cannot be restored to their original form by any means? This shows that the ban of idolaters' cooked food is not a biblical prohibition, derived from the above verse. which would have not exceptions. Rather, it is a rabbinic decree whose scope does not encompass to the case of parched kernels.
So what is parched kernels? 24, 24. Yeah.
In the prohibition on cooked food of idolaters, where the biblical origin, as implied by the Braita taught by Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, it would apply to all foods that have been permanently changed from their original form. However, the second Braita states that parched kernels are permissible despite having been permanently changed.
So what is parched kernels? You know what it is?
Yeah, it's just kernels. You have kernels of wheat, kernels of corn, right? It's a kernel, and parch means burnt.
So what is kernels?
Kernel.
I don't know.
No, it's like
Is that
a
you?
no, a kernel is like a kernel of corn. Kernel, it's like
I don't know what the word kernel means.
Yeah,
That's why I say, if you say kernel, I don't know what
No,
I say.
Noyau, l'amande.
c'est cover. The canal. C'est cover.
Cover?
It's the wheat. It's the wheat before it's peeled.
Let me see it. Kernel.
Canal of the sun.
C'est comme la graine d'olive blanche, mais avec ce qui le protège. Je sais pas. Il y a écrit le noyau, le grain, l'amande. Soft, usually.
What did you say? Kernel of what?
Of wheat.
Of wheat, for example? Let me see.
Kernel of wheat.
Ah, c'est ça. C'est la couverture, c'est ce qui couvre. C'est.
Ah, ok.
Okay, I got it. So basically, it's not a machloket that Rabbi Chia is bringing. It's just saying that yes, Rabbi Shimon, we agree with you. So there is some elements, some nutrition which are permitted, because if I want to bring them back to their original form, I can do it. That's why he say accept the kernel. You see, Rabbi Chia, il ne contredit pas Rabbi Shimon. Il dit en fait, il y a certains aliments qu'une Braïta cite qui sont permis parce qu'en fait, dans le cas où je voudrais les retourner à leur forme originelle, je pourrais le faire. À part on va dire le kernel, c'est l'écorce de quelque chose. Il fait parce que l'écorce en fait, je peux pas le retourner dans son état originel. Il dit oui, mais toutes ces interdictions, elles viennent pas de la Torah explicitement, elles viennent des rabbanim. Donc en fait, en résumé, in summary, what we and how we hold, what do we eat from non-Jew? Qu'est-ce qu'on mange du non-juif? Toute chose qui n'a pas été modifiée dans sa forme originelle. Every single thing which has been not modified, changed from its original form. That's it. Minhag africain. Again, the Gemara cites.
The Gemara cites two rules for the rabbinic decree. Rabbi Yosef, the son of Rabbi Bun said in the name of Rav, any food that can be eaten as it is in its raw state, but was cooked by an idolater, is not subject to the prohibition on cooked food of idolaters. And only a cooked food that is eaten with bread is subject to the prohibition of cooked foods of idolaters. Thus, in order to be included in the prohibition, a food must meet two requirements. It is unedible when raw, and it is eaten with bread. In the Gemara above, Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai presented a biblical source for the ban of cooked food in idolaters. You shall purchase food from them. Also, water shall you buy from them. Rabbi Chia the Great, however, argued that the ban is only rabbinic. The Gemara therefore asks, how does Rabbi Chia the Great, who rejected Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai's interpretation, expound the verse, you shall purchase food from them? He expounds it to mean you shall break them with food. That is, you should break the belligerence of the descendants of Esau, who led the Israelites were seeking to traverse on their way into Eretz Israel by giving them food. For once you have fed an adversary, you have broken him. This contains a lesson for Jews of future generations who will have to deal with rulers who wish to harm them. If someone was acting harshly toward you, you should break his belligerence with food. And if that does not help, load him with money, bribe him with money. A relevant incident.
So it's comme ça. He said basically, Rabbi Chia has another way to understand what was said in the Torah, that you should ask for them food. He said for him it was a strategy to vanquish the enemy, because you can bring down their anger when you deal with food or money. Il dit quoi? Rabbi Chia dit non, pour lui, il ne comprend pas comme Rabbi Shimon. Il dit que la stratégie d'acheter la nourriture par des Bnei Esav en traversant leur territoire, c'était pour en fait enlever leur ressentiment contre nous. Et il dit aussi qu'il y a une dimension où la nourriture dont on parle, c'est la nourriture qu'on mange avec du pain. So, my question, do you agree with that? Est-ce que vous êtes d'accord avec ça?
There's a famous thing that said the closest way to a man's heart is belly. So we can get to his heart, like which is his heart, just where the anger lies. At least his belly is like one place closer to his heart. So it's
So you agree with Rabbi Chia? Rabbi Zohar is d'accord avec Rabbi Chia, yeah?
Est-ce que les savent d'accord que Israël traverse le territoire?
Il ne voulait pas. So, me personally, I'm not with Rabbi Chia. Je ne suis pas avec Rabbi Chia. Je ne suis pas d'accord avec lui. Because look like this. Let's take from our very small level. On the petit niveau. You have people receive them on Shabbat, right? They came to your house, right? They eat your food, right? How come a few months later you can have a beef with them? Il y a des gens qui viennent chez vous, le Shabbat, ils mangent chez vous. Comment ça se fait qu'après vous pouvez avoir des embrouilles avec eux? The food you give should break the enmity, should break the anger. Ça devrait enlever la colère. You spend money. What's up when people come and after you fight? In Africa, you have tribes. You can come. You can offer gift. You can eat with them. If they decided to eat you, they will eat you. That's it. Il y a des gens comme ça. T'es arrivé, t'es gentil. There's a famous advertisement like this, very funny. Il y a une pub très marrante comme ça. I saw once. There's a guy basically, he arrived in Africa. He was lost with the boat. He arrived like usual, they put African who are cannibals. Donc toujours, ils put the African cannibal. So they see the white man. They say, let's eat it. Let's eat the white man. So he did not much love. But they pay attention that there is no fire to light the fire of the pot. It didn't happen. So what's happened? The white man said, it's okay. You see that there's no fire, they will not eat me. And you see that in the advertisement dans la publicité, il se passe quelques jours, few days pass. And suddenly, a few days after, the white man remember what he had. Il avait un briquet. Comment on dit un briquet? A lighter? He had the lighter on his pocket.
Oh.
So he put this, I have a lighter. So he thought that he would light the fire, but will cook something. So the African took the lighter. The So what does it mean? No matter what we're spending of time, we want to eat you. We'll eat you. C'est ça le truc. En fait, il sort un briquet de sa poche et il lui pensait que comme c'était ami, maintenant ça allait passer. Et genre, il met le feu mis dans le pot. C'est pas sur feu au foudre. So you see, basically, Rabbi Chia the Great, he's the great, Agadol. Say, but what's happened here? Me, I have a big problem every time I have to be against Rabbi Shimon. I don't take risk. I rather like to back up a little bit. Say, but I follow you and you will explain to me after. Okay. That's it.
Nowadays, they also put in, what is this they use? The oil that they use in baking is mixed with pig fat. Yeah.
We are called Botina Kadisha, the name of Rabbi Shimon Zohar. On s'appelle Botina Kadisha. Rabbi Shimon Zohar, I could never be allowed to take any other opinion. It's done. It's finished. Even if I can be attracted by the opinion of Rabbi Chia, with all the respect, Rabbi Chia, I cannot go against my master. That's it. And on finit.
Relevant incident. They recounted the following is what Rabbi Yonatan would do. When an important person, a high-ranking government official, came into the city, he would send him gifts of honor. His purpose was that if in the future there will be under this official's jurisdiction a case involving an orphan or a case involving a widow, he will find sympathy. The official will be sympathetic to his cause and do his bidding.
Ok, mais stop here. Donc, il prend un exemple, il dit, il y a un cas où, quand on sait qu'il y a des gouverneurs qui viennent dans un endroit, on envoie des cadeaux pour que le gouverneur puisse avoir un avis positif sur les choses. This, in Africa, we know how many ambassadors of UN, ambassador of the, what do you do, FMI, the no, MIF,
the money, international money.
yeah. How many of them came, spoke to the president, said, we will give to you. So the president opened, they give this, give that, this, that, at the end, nothing.
And the other way, I had the UN complaining to me in the because the African nations in Ethiopia. So this woman came and she goes to me, anything, I had to start with a bottle of whiskey.
You give the gift, then you have nothing. Also,
Perfect. San Tomeo Prince, you get fire. Boom. You give it the bread. And
you see? That's why the question of Rabbi Chia is very hard to understand. Because we have now, many centuries after, to prove that the gift
doesn't do much.
Doesn't do.
So for example, the Native American.
Yeah.
The Native American in like the Caribbean, the Spaniard came with.
Yeah.
The Spaniard came, they bring gold and everything to the Spaniards.
Also in the colonization time. We saw them arrive. They said, welcome. What they did, took the countries. Oh, venez, on partage. Cutting up. So, I understand what you mean, but it's hard for us. C'est ça. So now let's try to understand and we'll finish about this. On va essayer de comprendre quelque chose. What does it mean that these laws, they are imum? They are obscure. Because we start like that. Rabbi Jonathan said, the laws that even if the bread of the Jew is not available, you are not allowed to eat the bread of non-Jew. He said this called halachat imum. Why? Because it's obscure. And you think, what does it mean? Does it mean that the rabbis, they permit because they were obscure in their way to analyze and so on, so on, so on, so on? I will tell you what happened. What is imum? C'est quoi imum? Imum doesn't mean obscure exactly. Yes.
Defect.
No, it's mum.
Mum, yeah.
Mum. Imum, it's different. Imum is like rhyming, to attenuate, to bring down the intensity of the light. Dimming. C'est comme atténuer l'intensité de lumière. C'est comme couvrir. It's like this is light. C'est comme si là j'ai une lumière. And I take this and I put on it. What does that mean? Ça veut dire quoi? That the story of the bread of non-Jew is all about this, bringing light to be darker. Amener la lumière à être plus sombre. What are we talking about? Why we are fighting here with a concept which is so deep, but we don't understand already what is the fight because you use a specific expression for that. On comprend qu'il y a un combat ici, mais on ne comprend pas ce qu'il y a derrière parce que tu crées même une terminologie particulière. You're talking about being obscure, and we don't know if you talk about the way the rabbis are analyzing the situation or about the fact that they will not permit. What are you talking about? This is related to the sins of Adam and Rishon. C'est relié à la faute d'Adam et Rishon. Let's see it and let's understand what is this, why it's called Emu. Take a sharp up Sukim. Daf Zayin. I've sent the picture. So look what he's saying. That's good. That's Zayin. I will start from the bottom of Vav. You have it in your book, and I will continue Zayin. Donc, il dit comme ça. What is he saying? He said it's known that the sins of Adam and Rishon create 5 big consequences. On sait que la faute d'Adam et Rishon, en résumé, elle a créé, non pas 5, 7, 8 grandes conséquences, 8 grandes fautes. We know that the sin of Adam and Rishon created 8 big sins. let's see about the third. He said, no, the first, sorry. The first. C'est like this. So let's see what are the 8 consequences, but we'll just be focused on the first one. Now I'm in Daf Zayin. Mais ma shekatuv, Sefer HaTikunim, return the Tikunim. Et c'est qui Chato Aya chez des Shavi'i Chosher. So what was the sin of Adam Rishon? He brought darkness. Not darkness meaning he brought blackness. No. He brought the light to be dim. Il a amené que la lumière soit moins intense. Yes,
Keli was too big for the light. There was not enough light. He extended the Keli basically.
Yes, but what does it mean with the bread? Eating the bread from non-Jew and eating the food from non-Jew. So let's see. Regardez ce qu'il dit. Il dit ki cheto aya de shavui chosher ben ilat ailot el keter ainyan yuval. So he brought darkness between ilat ailot, its ensof, and the keter. What is that? Look at this. Ask ce qu'il dit. What's the explication? Here's the explanation. We are here. Bema shekatuv beparashat Bereshit ki yesh ilat ailot veyesh ilat al kol ailot. You have 2 levels. You have ilat ailot, the eyes of eyes, and ilat al kol ailot, and the eyes on all the eyes. Tu as le hauteur des hauteurs et le hauteur sur toutes les hauteurs. C'est all concept. Ve'inyan, c'est le sujet. Voici le sujet. Qui a sof chez où les mala meatik yomin de olam atilut ou anikra ilat al kol ailot. So c'est who is Ensof? C'est qui Ensof? Ensof is called ilat al kol ailot. The high, the top, on all the tops. La hauteur qui est sur toutes les hauteurs. This is Ensof. C'est Ensof. Les filles, qui, ou, il a Rishona, because he's the first high, la première hauteur. Chez Kol Shar Ailot Nimtsa'u Mimeno. From him comes out all the other eyes. De lui sortent toutes les autres hauteurs. Be'u Ametiam Bekol Asher Bekol Shar Aprinat chez les Mata Meilat Kol Ailot Nikra Ilat Ilot Stam. So every eyes which are under the Ensof, toutes les hauteurs qui sont en dessous de Ensof, they are just called ilot. Ça s'appelle juste des ilot. Qui aiment alulot v'neitzalot min Ensof because they come from Ensof. Ils viennent de Ensof. Omnam derrière Prat, but the level of Prat, au niveau Prat, nuchal likro likol prina mehem ilat ilot. So, but when I want to talk about one of the ilot in specific, I could use the term of ilat ailot. Je pourrais utiliser le terme ilat ailot. But Ensof, it's ilat al kol ailot. Donc, quand on parle que d'un cas particulier, d'une hauteur particulière, on peut dire hauteur des hauteurs. Des fiches min à ilahi, because we come from Ensof, parce qu'il y a du Ensof. Netzalu shar ailot ve tartea. Bekol prinat anikra ilaha. Eprinat chez Tartea. Aval ilat al kol ailot ou ben sof aniska. But ilat al ailot, c'est Ensof. ונמצא כי אימא הילאה נקרא עילת עילות. So אימא הילאה, it's עילת עילות. She's not עילת על כל העילות. It's not Ensof. אימא, which is the first A, qui est le premier A. בערר זה, if I compare Ima to Za, if I compare the first A to the Vav, si je compare le premier A avec le Vav, the first A will be called Ilat, Ilot, Ailot. Premier, il sera appelé la hauteur de la hauteur Za. Ki I, Aila, Asher, Mtia, Kol, Ilot, Asher, Beza. Okay. Gam Tzarech Sheteda, Klal Echad, but you have to know one general rule. De savoir une règle générale. Ki Kasher Tir'e, Besefer HaZohar, when you will see the Sefer HaZohar, Eze Shemot Shel Avaya, one name of Avaya, O Sfira, Sfirot, or one name of Sfirot, one nom de Sfirot. Tzarech Sheteda, Be'eze Prina Medaber, you have to know what are the aspects behind this name. Which aspect is? Don't think that once you say a one K is the same time every time the same thing. Ne pense pas quand tu vois une fois Avaya, one time Keter, one time Chokma, qu'on parle toujours de la même chose. Vezo echad me'em. And this is only one aspect of them that you are reading. C'est seulement un aspect que tu lis. Ki ine kama ktarim hem. We have a lot of crowns. On a beaucoup de couronnes. Veze a keter aniska. And this keter what we're talking about, ce keter-là dont on parle, kan, besefer atikunim, ou keter de Za. We're talking about the keter of Za. On parle du keter de Za. Vebo chata Adam Harishon. So the chet of Adam Harishon was in the keter of Za, which is related, connected to Imayla.
Like we're saying one connected to the other.
Yeah. This is the place where Adam Harishon sins. So don't think that Adam Harishon sins in the keter of Ein Sof, keter of Atib. No, keter of Za. Il a foutu dans le keter de Za. The Shevi Choshe, he brought Dim. Il a amené là-bas, il a assombri l'intensité de la lumière. He brought the light to be less powerful. Ben a keter hazeh de Za, between the keter of Za, El Ima and Ikra Ilat Ailot. So the keter, like Rabbi Ari, which is between Ima and Za, the keter which is between, le keter qui est entre Ima et Za, Adam Harishon, il met un imum. Il a fait un imum. Il make it less powerful. Il a fait moins forte. C'est comment? Be'omnam inyan achosher hazeh. What is that chosher? Ki ine igdil et kli a keter de Za. He made the recipient, the vessel of the keter, bigger. Simple. I keep his light and I triple the size of his room. What will happen? Less light. Si je garde la même quantité de lumière qu'on a ici et je triple le volume de cette salle, ben la lumière elle sera moins intense. Donc, elle me finish almost, on n'a pas fini. La Chosher Hazeh, ki ine egdil et kli keter de Za, sheyebo bet shlishim tartonim de kli de tifer de Ima, aval האור שבתוכו לא יוכל להגדילו. So he made the vessel bigger, but the light was the same. Il a fait l'ustensile plus grand, mais la lumière était la même. What is it? Imum. You are giving permissions. Tu donnes les permissions. You say, no problem, the bread of non-Jews. No problem, the food of non-Jews. You make the vessel bigger. Where is the light? What is the light? The core of the eater. C'est quoi la lumière? La force de celui qui va manger. Bigger also? No. That's why it's called Imum. Ça s'appelle Imum. L'éclair plus sombre. He said, אבל האור שבתוכו לא יכול להגדילו. He couldn't make the light bigger. לפי שאם היה אחר כניסת מוחין דאבא, היו גם בית שליש האור דתפארת. So say what? happened? It's because the light of Chokhmah didn't enter before he closed the vessel of Keter. I make it simple. Sometimes we decide with emotions. Not the Chachamim for the Sham, but sometimes you have the emergency, tu as l'urgence. Like he said, you see the question of the Gemara. Bread is essential for life. But if you say that, you receive it from your master. Si tu dis ça, c'est sûr que tu as reçu de ton maître. But what was your master meaning? Was he talking about bread or bread Torah? Parce qu'il parlait du pain ou du pain de la Torah?
As soon as I heard this, I thought of philosophy. Don't take philosophy from the goyim. That's what I thought about. That's the main the first thing I thought about.
You said bread. Yes, but bread is essential for life. But which bread are we talking about? Before you give the right to the people to eat from non-Jew. Especially when you have Rabbi Yonatan, Rabbi Shimon telling you, no, we never eat. Even if we miss, we don't eat. Giving permission from the corner of emotions, donner la permission à des choses parce qu'il y a de l'émotion, is the sign that you are doing inu. Tu as grandi les possibilités, you multiply the possibility, but the light.
You don't have Abba, because Abba's half. So you make room for Ima, which is emotion.
No, don't say you make emotions. Say no, it's Bina. Emotions here is a rabbi in the situation. Yeah.
If I put this spoon of sugar in here, and a little bit of water in here, so the water will taste sweet. But if I put 100
Tons of water.
The taste of sugar disappears.
Levatel.
Levatel. Yes. Is it the same concept?
Because if you talk about the sugar, we're about the inner aspect. I will more say like this. You have a very, very tasty coffee. And suddenly you make the cup bigger. Bigger. So big that at the end, the only way for you to drink the coffee should be to add more water. Because now the quantity of coffee you had, it was nice. But if now this cup becomes the size of the room, this will be the quantity of coffee that I was having. They say, this is the problem. You have to create proportion between the size of the vessels and the intensity of the light. And adding water doesn't mean that it's not good. It means that you have more inner light, you have more water. It's good in a way. But here the problem really is that the taste that you had at the beginning will never be the same because of the size of the vessels.
Rabbi, also what I thought of as well, as he was speaking, if you have a big pot of soup and then some milk fell into it, as you passing by, your hand twists, and some milk fell. The Shakti said, if it's not 168th, you could keep it.
It depends. It's complicated.
The Sod said, if it's even wet, you throw everything away. So I
said because you have the hot aspect also. If it's cold,
hot soup. We're talking about hot soup. You keep it. I mean, you throw it away. Why do I say? Because I compare it to this. You said lechem, right? We have our own lechem. Do not take lechem for none. So I would say, let's just say the pot of chicken soup is lechem, an aspect of lechem. The milk that fell is philosophy that fell into it on a chokmah, which is lechem. Even that, if that piece of that drop of milk fell into it, throw it away. even it's gonna be vatel, you're not even gonna taste it, but even vatel, but that it's still hiding somewhere deep inside of that, basically.
Because people are obsessed with emotions. I say with all the kavod that to the chachamim, because all the question will be, no, it's bal tashchit, because I cook the food, I spend my money. So it's like you're in the place, you see that the place is rotten. Okay, we love it. Why you start to, it's like, let's say someone has this apple. Half of the apple is rotten. 90%, 60% de la pomme, elle est pourrite. If now in front of you, I take the knife and I remove all this, and say, eat. What would you say?
It's normal. No normal idea for a person to say it's normal.
Oh man, let me do that. It's rotten. Even if I remove it, they have been together, the rotten aspect and non-rotten aspect yet for a while.
So they were influenced.
So they're friends. You have to have the core to say, it's half rotten, okay, go. Why you start to do it? You absolutely want to eat it so badly. So to conclude, this is the secret of what we have seen. C'est le secret de ce qu'on a vu maintenant. All the purpose for us is to know halakha, that we never eat bread from non-Jews. On écrit, on ne mange pas le pain des non-Juifs. We rather like to learn how to eat, to cook, and to make our own bread. Apprenez à faire votre propre pain. On ne mange pas de pain de non-juif. Même s'il n'y a pas de pain dans la ville, mangez des légumes. Even if you have no bread in the city, eat vegetables. Eat things which have not changed from their original forms. Mangez des choses qui n'ont pas changé de leur forme originelle. Why? If you fall in that trap, si vous tombez dans cette piège, will also bring yourself to make dimming the light, your own light. Because you extend your own permission, but the light of your soul is not ready to support, to afford that level of things. That's why we are on the kashrut. We are not able to eat everything that we would want. It's the famous Gemara. As Jew and non-Jew asking to Rabbi Yudanasi. They say, if you are a Jew and you are really so powerful, how come you cannot eat what you want? How come you are not so powerful? You're like this. It's not about eating what I want, because the system I have inside of me cannot afford everything. I have to be very precise about what I'm eating. Donc c'est pas que on ne peut pas, que la force de quelqu'un c'est qu'il puisse manger tout. Non, nous c'est le contraire. Les limitations qu'on s'impose à nous-mêmes, c'est ce qui nous montre la qualité, la spécificité de l'âme que nous avons. So, bread of non-Jew, non-Africain, no question. Right? Rabbi Shimon has spoken. Shimon a parlé. Cook food from non-Jews, met de côté. Nourriture cuisinée de non-Jews, met de côté.
Even if you like the fire.
Hein?
Even if you're a Jew, like the fire.
Baruch Adonai.
Amen.
Amen.
תודה רבה, רבי אליעזר, תודה רבה, רבי חיים, תודה רבה, רבי נתן שבע.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Toda, Rabbi. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Merci à vous, תודה רבה, רבי נזיסי.
Merci, Rabbi.
Shalom, shalom.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. See you tomorrow, Lord Hashem.